Yes, hi. I am calling this number because I saw it on a bathroom wall. Seeing if you're Brandi.
I'm Brandi Lukas, and this is Brandi is Going to Hell. My taste in music is all over the shop, and it's the driving force behind this show. I will be bringing you music updates and chats with artists that you won't hear anywhere else.
The only true currency in this bankrupt world is what you share with someone else when you're uncool.
I remember sending him these 2 songs, and the next day I get these emails from Todd Ogren. I'm like, holy shit. And he's like, dude, you got to call me now. Dude, when are you going to wake up? We got to talk about these songs. And like, he was immediately stoked.
Well, what was cool is waking up on a Sunday morning and I get this text message from Chris, and he's like, here's a file. Todd just threw down some keys on one of our songs. And I'm like, okay, go throw that on and listen to it and have your mind blown on a Sunday morning.
I'm Brandi Lukas, and that was the Penitent Man, a desert blues stoner rock band from Salt Lake City. In this episode, Chris Garrido, Allan, Davidson, and I chat about the authenticity of writing music for yourself, working with Todd Ogren for new music on Legends of the Desert Volume 2 and album number 2, and we nerd out over Led Zeppelin. Hello. Fresh off my 31st birthday, I'm delivering you the rock and roll goods this week. I'm so happy to share that I have the Penitent Man on the show, who was referenced by Todd Ogren back in February on episode 14 of Brandi is Going to Hell. You can check out my podcast everywhere podcasts are heard. Just type in Brandi is Going to Hell and you'll find it, even on YouTube. I've been so hyped about this episode because I've been talking to Chris and the Penitent Man for a few weeks now, planning this interview around the pre-order of their new music featuring Todd Ogren for Desert Records' Legends of the Desert Volume 2, due this June 4th and available now for pre-order on the Penitent Man's Bandcamp. Hold on tight. Before we jump into everything Penitent Man, I'm going to highlight some of my favorite new releases. French psych rockers La Femme released their latest album, Paradigms. Or is it Paradigms? I'm not sure. It's French. I love French music. This modern band with a retro feel is quite huge in France. This album is particularly an American road trip fantasy with titles touching on stops in the US and is overall a chill trip. Post and instrumental rock outfit Godspeed You Black Emperor from Montreal released Godspeed at State's End. And yeah, it's a rad follow-up to their 2017 release. The scene involved me listening to the album front to back in bed on another planet. 5 out of 5 stars. Okay. This next band I've been obsessed over for the past 6 months to a year. Not really counting though. This band is called Dry Cleaning and they're from South London. Florence Shaw's alluring vocals pulls you in, lays down some wit and sass, and leaves you with a smirk. From the moment I heard them, my gut said, whoa! This is the reincarnation of the Long Blondes, which was a band I was obsessed with in 2007-2008 when they released only 2 albums, then disbanded after a band member had a health complication. They were way before their time, and the fact that I can get a pinch of their vibe via Dry Cleaning means so much to me. Dry Cleaning just released their debut New Long Leg, and if you're up for something a little different and a little weird, give it a whirl. I had to do take on this next one because of my American accent versus my husband in the next room who's English. Anyway, I'm going to say it how I want to say it. Newcastle upon Tyne's Du Blonde released their 3rd album, Homecoming, and this glamorous pop-punk album houses garage riffs, badassery, personal battles, and attitude. It's also worth noting a few collabs on the record, which includes Ezra Furman, Shirley Manson, and Andy Bell. This is going to be a little harsh and then turn into praise, but nothing about Scottish indie rock band The Snuts is super original, but that's fine. Catchy listens, good feels. I'd say they're the 2021 indie rock child if the Steeples, Arctic Monkeys, Ed Sheeran, and Oasis boned in the backseat of a car. Giggity. Their debut album, W.L., was released this April and scored a UK #1 album after a close battle with Demi Lovato. And now, it's time for The Penitent Man. I think you'll really enjoy this conversation. It touches on some sentimental moments and stories, how The Penitent Man formed from a secret band, and new tunage from the band featuring Todd Ogren, the keyboardist for Rival Sons. Hello!
Hey, what's up?
How are you?
How are you?
All right. I feel like we're friends already because I've DM'd Chris so much and texted him so much, like best friends.
We are friends. We're family.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sending that package again. I was like, oh, so touched by it. And I'm stoked that we're here right now.
Very honored to be here. So thanks for having us. And of course, yeah, glad to get some merch out there. So.
Thank you so much for joining me to talk about everything the Penitent Man has going on. Can you please introduce both of yourselves and so everybody in podcast land knows who you are, name and your role in the band?
Sure. My name is Allan, and I am the singer of the Penitent Man.
My name is Chris Garrido, and I play drums in the Penitent Man.
Awesome. So a month ago, I found out about your band through having Todd Ogren on my podcast, where he talked about working with you during the pandemic. There's a lot of ground to cover.
Yes.
You just launched a pre-order for Legends of the Desert Volume 2 through Desert Records and premiered Rest My Weary Head, which is one of 3 songs on that release through Metal Injection. So let's start with Rest My Weary Head. Todd's keys really pairs well with your voice, Allan, when his solo makes his entrance around the 4-minute mark, and then Todd goes full on mad scientist. Can you, it's super rad, right? Can you talk a little bit about what this song means to you and how the collaboration with Todd came about? And I know, I like to ask what it means to you because I love reading lyrics in books, and I did that when you sent me your self-titled, but I can't do that right now. So I just want to hear more about the song personally.
So I would say that Rest My Weary Head was kind of like it was like a personal reflection on my soul. It was just me kind of doing an inventory on myself and just dealing with emotions that I have a hard time with, personally in my life. I try to bring that into the music to kind of be therapy for myself, selfishly, but I also hope that it, inspires other people, to kind of feel what I'm feeling and those emotions that I kind of had. And hopefully it helps. It's just kind of a hand offering to people. So.
Well said. Thanks.
Yeah. How did this all come about with Todd? And even go in depth about, how long have you had these songs in the can and all that jazz too? Yeah,
so I'll take this one with Rest My Weary Head specifically. So kind of the Reader's Digest version, Allan actually came to practice back in July of last year. So during the pandemic, we very rarely got together. So we had an opportunity to jam, and Allan had the acoustic little ditty that he threw out there, and we just kind of played that once through, and I was like, this is going to be something super special. So as we were, kind of separated through the pandemic, trying to record, we have a lot of home studio equipment. So we would, bounce tracks back and forth, between us. And this was one of them that we were, working with. So the opportunity to put, a couple of tracks on this Legends of the Desert came up. And for me, the real cool thing with this, I got to kind of, play a producer role a little bit more than I normally have in the past. So on top of playing drums, I was able to, kind of structure things as I kind of heard the song in my head, because again, Allan brought it to the table, and I think at the time he didn't think it was good enough. And I was like, damn, we're fucking making this song a song. So again, kind of going back, it was, we had this opportunity to throw these songs on this album, this split, and we were, kind of in the middle of doing some pre-production for album 2, which we already have tons of phenomenal tracks.
I'm excited.
They're there in the bag. So we were like, what tracks that do we have in the can, so to speak, that wouldn't necessarily fit on the album, but would fit on this compilation? So Rest My Weary Head was one, and then we had this other track that we'll talk about a little bit later, that we were planning on putting on it originally. And then Todd, this opportunity to work with Todd kind of fell in our lap. And, a little backstory with me, I'm a huge Rival Sons fan. Phil, the guitar player, huge Sons fan. So we, we've been to multiple shows. We followed them from the beginning, to be able to play these songs or have an opportunity to have Todd check them out was super special. On a personal note, I lost my son in a car accident a couple months before he was 18 years old. And when I got up to speak at his funeral, I didn't know what to say. So I recited the lyrics to Jordan, which is a song by Rival Sons. So, tying back to that from a personal level, as how much it meant for me to have an opportunity to talk music with him first and foremost. And I remember, I sent him these 2 tracks that we had, and sent him an Instagram message and was like, hey, this is who we are. We're a band based out of Salt Lake City. Got 2 tracks, would love for you to check them out. And we kind of talk shop just a little bit. And I remember sending him these 2 songs, and the next day I check my email, and I get these emails from Todd Ogren. I'm like, holy shit. And he's like, dude, check your email now. Dude, you got to call me now. Dude, when are you going to wake up? We got to talk about these songs. And like, he was immediately stoked on this one song in particular. And he threw down some stuff on that. This other song it's called Red Giant Star, and we're gonna release that a little bit differently. But he threw down some amazing keys on that, and he, like, right out of the gate was immediately stoked.
That's sorry. I was just going to say, that's so awesome. Thank you so much for bringing up that very full circle moment around your personal tragedy. It's such a beautiful and heartwarming story. And Todd is such a freaking great guy. And like, his response to your email, just like, everything about this just warms my freaking heart. And thank you. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just like had to get that out in the universe. So thank you for that.
And I get a little emotional because it means a lot. Like, it really does. And, I got the opportunity to meet the band right before the pandemic at the Wiltern. Fate happened to I was able to go backstage and tell Jay our story, and really be able to leave that personal note with them, and they were honored with that. So it really just totally became came full circle. Going back to these other tracks, we sent them through to Todd, and threw down the most amazing key solo on Rest My Weary Head. And I've had personal conversations with him, and he's fucking proud of that. And the guy should be fucking proud of that solo, because goddamn, it is
cool. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's on a piece of work that we got to create, as a band, and having his stamp on there and sharing it with, people like, everybody in the industry, Don Airy. I know he's sent some stuff to him, and it's just, it's cool that, we get to really allow him to showcase his talents. And we just said, hey dude, open slate, whatever you want.
Well, what was cool is, waking up on a Sunday morning and I get this text message from Chris and he's like, here's a file. Todd just threw down some keys on one of our songs. And I'm like,
Oh, shit.
Okay, go throw that on and listen to it and have your mind blown on a Sunday morning, listening to, this amazing artist playing on your music that, who would ever think that this would even happen?
Every text I get from Todd on my phone, I'm like, God, it's like a kid on Christmas morning.
Yeah. Like giddy,
this
right?
one gonna be now?
Yeah.
And then even, on top of that, like I've developed a fucking phenomenal relationship with him. He's a solid man. And, even just on a personal note, outside of playing on these tracks, we have badass conversations about life. So he's an awesome dude and amazing musician. So
yeah.
Great.
So, yeah.
So also on Legends of the Desert is The Butcher, which if you're a Penitent Man fan, you've heard live at Pale Horse Sound. And I'm lucky that I got to hear the studio version because I'm special and you sent it to me. So thank you for sharing that. What made you snatch that particular one from your live album to put on Legends of the Desert?
I think it was originally when we were writing the song Red Giant Star, we were originally going to be putting that on the Legends of the Desert record until Todd came to us and said, you guys need to hold on to that song for right now and put that in your back pocket. And so it was kind of like a quick scramble of what are we going to put in its place? What do we have that's finished enough that we can quickly put in its place? And so we decided, I think we can do The Butcher. And so
it's a great song.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I love that.
It's actually, so as we were writing album 2, it was going to be part of album 2, and it's part of a 3-part trilogy. Not that we write trilogy or things like that. They just kind of happen that way.
Within the band, we write these concept albums that no one ever hears about. So
yeah.
Oh man, come on.
But yeah, that song in particular is part of the three-piece set. So maybe further down the line when we do our greatest hits albums when we're
we've
70, we'll throw those 3 together.
We've created this lore around this Butcher character, and that's kind of what drives that song and what was kind of driving the next album. So maybe one day it'll see the light of day, as far as what goes on with that story. But yeah.
Okay, cool. Are you sharing another song from the compilation before it's released on June 4th, or are you just sharing Rest Your Weary Head with us for now?
I'm gonna just mix it up and probably do little snippets here. And so we'll maybe we'll throw it out there for a little limited release and pull it back in. But we're gonna work on some snippets this week of some of the other tunes, a little bit longer sneak previews.
Cool, little teases. And then how did your relationship with Desert Records come about? And then this compilation album with sorry, I do not know how to pronounce it. Is it Cortege or Cortege? Or
I've heard Cortege.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Cortege is how I say it.
Yeah, that's how I was going to say it too. But then I'm like, I always pronounce everything wrong. I guess it's my South Jersey, Philly thing.
No, cool. Yeah, with Desert Records. So last March we put out our first self-titled release. We just put that out independently. We tracked it independently. So we did all the recording in-house. We just went and had it mixed and mastered by Counterpoint Studios, Terrence, really rad dude here. So where was I going with that?
As far as...
So you're talking about the Penitent Man releasing your self-titled debut.
Oh, self-titled.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm back.
It's all good.
Last March we put it out. And I was just, randomly shooting emails off to various different, people in the industry, like, labels, things of that nature. And, people who do reviews and whatnot. And I forgot who I sent an email to, but I got a response back and said, hey, you got some great stuff. You should hit up Desert Records, and, kind of made that connection there. So reached out to Brad and, his group. And we had, right at that time, just released our Live at Pale Horse Sound. So that came about really just kind of in a strange way. We were itching to play, a show, and we saw a couple of local bands do, a live stream similar to what we were thinking of doing. So we hooked up with Pale Horse, went in, and we said we wanted to do it a little bit different. We didn't want to, throw donation things up there. We just really want to play, and but we want to, just treat it like it's us jamming, and so we decided to face kind of inward in how we jam in our studios here and whatnot. And those songs we had just written and had recently only played, a handful of times. But anyways, so that just came off as kind of a fluke, and we decided to just put a digital release out on that. So going back to the Desert Record component, we had those two albums that, were there, and we decided to do a little licensing agreement with Brad and his team. And, he was able to use some of his connections and whatnot. And, again, with just some additional push, that's how we kind of connected with that. And this happened to, several months after our individual releases. So it was kind of a challenge, joining this label and that entity, how we promote something that was already put out. So, going back to Legends of the Desert, Brad was like, I really want to do it the right way and whatnot, and give you guys a proper release and things of that nature. So he said, I've got this band from Austin, Texas that, I've got their stuff in the can ready to go. Great band, all instrumental. And
which was a little intimidating, because I was sitting there going, I'm going to be the only vocalist on this record. Like, that's it.
Well, you nailed it. Love your. Oh yeah, I dig your vocals big time. So yeah, it's a good balance though, with an instrumental band and then having some vocals. Plus, you guys are predominantly instrumental until you start singing. You got long ass songs.
Not long songs.
Yeah, and I mean, Allan is he's a phenomenal vocalist. So to have waved that flag of being the only vocalist on this compilation is pretty cool. So he did it well. So thank you. But yeah, back to that, Brad had this band, and we, he approached us, and again, we had these two tracks that we were originally going to put on it, and kind of took a little left turn, but we came right back in with these other two songs. So as you mentioned, The Butcher, and then another song called a Long Deep Breath of Sadness,
which is actually the longest title but the shortest song.
Yeah, I noticed that one was the short. Cool. Do you want to talk a little bit about that before it's released too, so if people can kick back to this and reflect?
A Long Deep Breath of Sadness. It is a really it's a short tune. It's like what, 4 minutes?
4 minutes.
Yeah, about 4 minutes. It's basically it's like a really basic song of just guitar and vocal, and then Todd came in and brought in some keys on it that just really kind of sent it the way we wanted it to go. It's just another self-reflection kind of, when it comes to writing the songs and writing the lyrics, I kind of like people to take the music and then, it's like that old thing that they say, when you give art away, show art to the world, it's no longer yours. And so I kind of want it to be theirs, and I want people to interpret it however they want to interpret it, and just kind of get what they want out of it. And of course, it's going to have that personal meaning to me, but that's kind of how I like to do the music. But yeah,
Yeah, and another cool thing on that track is we kind of mix it up with instruments. So Ethan, my brother, who plays bass, he actually plays guitar on that track, and then I don't play drums on that. So I have when we play live, when we're not touring the world with Todd, and I'll have to step in on the keys. It just kind of gets me off the drum kit and allows me to do something a little bit different. So I kind of I play the keys on that song too. So.
Yeah. We try to be multifaceted.
That's great.
Apps, yeah.
Allan is a phenomenal guitar player. So when we've got some of these other anthems that we play that'll be on album 2, it'll feature a lot of Allan's guitar, hopefully.
Well, seeing this song, A Long Deep Breath of Sadness, was one of those unintentional things as well. It was something I was playing around with on the guitar while everybody was talking and setting up and stuff like that. And it was just like, what are you doing? And I'm like, what? And it's just, let's work on that. And it became that quick 4-minute song, and it just kind of sold us. It was weird just how it came about. And there's also a couple of demos at the end of that song where we just go fucking heavy, just 4/4, just heavy guitars, kind of in that same pattern. Yeah. But we've thought about maybe later down the line putting a little snippet on the end of that, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Awesome. So you mentioned the Butcher will be coming. Well, so this is the thing. Obviously album number 2 is coming out, and you mentioned before the Butcher will make an appearance at some other point, but not on that album, right? So right now it's predominantly exclusive to the Desert Records compilation. Now, what about the other 2? Will that be on number 2, or is that exclusive to? It's exclusive to the compilation.
So, yeah, it'll be exclusive to the Legends of the Desert.
Great. So get that, guys. It's on pre-order right now. Yeah.
That will be the only recordings of those songs
cool.
As of now. So those tracks are exclusive, and just the crazy thing about this band is we have so much material and so much good material. Like, we got together last night, 2 nights ago, and for the first time in a long time. So we have so much material. So for us to be able to give exclusive songs to a compilation.
Well, we've got 5 guys in our band, and they're all phenomenal musicians. Our bass player used to be a guitar player. We have Steven, his guitar playing just blows my mind. The things that come out of his guitar are just mind blowing. And so it's like, he's bringing stuff to the table. And then, you've got Chris, who, is not just a drummer. He's a producer. We call him, he's our Rick Rubin here, and so, he's kind of all over the place, and he hears things and contributes. He contributes a lot to when I'm in the booth and I'm recording vocals. He's in there with me, and he's telling me, I've heard you do it better. I've heard you, maybe try this, maybe, going up on this part instead of bringing the vocal down, bring the vocal up and hold it in this range. And, and he kind of directs me that way. So there's just so many people, that are just contributing so much good material that it's like, it just flows. And every time we get together, it just flows more. And we have to tell each other, look, today we are just going to practice our set. No writing music tonight at all. Yeah. We're just writing, playing our music tonight, so it's a good problem to have.
Oh yeah, I love that. You totally answered a question I had written down too, which was, so you're a 5-piece band, and your process is you explained it to me. You're all in a room, right? And these 5 to 11 minute jams is a very collaborative effort, which I really like. Are you predominantly the wordsmith, Allan, or do you help write does everybody help write the words, or?
I predominantly write the lyrics, but occasionally, when we're sitting around, somebody will think they heard something that I said. Did you say this? And I go, no. And goes, but that sounds cool though, so I'm going to use that. And so I write that down. And but for the most part, they kind of leave that to me to put the words together, and I love doing it.
And we really don't need to give him input, because the shit this guy comes up with on the fly it blows our mind. And like again, going back to us just writing and stuff just flows. Like we'll just jam something and he'll come in and sing a melody or a line or just something like so off the wall that you wouldn't think goes there, but it fits. So it's it's very cool. But going back to the lyric component, he does the majority of it. But if we have as you had mentioned, recommendations, or hey, I don't really like this word specifically, so can you do something else here, and he's totally open to it. But we rarely give input on that, because he's a wordsmith, and he's phenomenal.
Very dark and poetic, and it sinks your soul. I love it. It's good stuff.
Thank you very much. What I love is I'm always generally the last one to show up to rehearsal, not because I'm like
because you're waking and baking. No, I'm kidding.
I have a long commute to get there, and so I'm always the last one to show up. But what's really cool is there's been a few times where as I'm walking through the front door coming down to the rehearsal room, I can hear them all jamming something that I've never heard before. And I don't know if it's like, we've talked about this. We sat around and tried to have these conversations where like, is this, where are these songs coming from? Like it almost feels unnatural. Like it's coming from like the ether, because I come down and I just hear what they're doing, and it just immediately inspires me. I grab the mic and I just start doing something, and it eventually becomes what it is. Like the first time, it's like we jam it out the first time, and we're like, we don't ever want to change this. This is the way it's going to be, and we wonder like sometimes where that comes from.
I love that.
Well,
yeah.
A cool thing on that, when kind of going back to the Todd component, when I was first talking to him, because I hit him up and I was like, dude, we want to work with you, but here's a 11-minute song, which is Red Giant Star, and here's a 9-minute long song. So when I hit him up, he and I had the opportunity to chat with him, he said one of the first things he asked me, and probably one of the most important things, was, he goes, who do you write these songs for? And, I sat there and thought about it for a moment, and I said, we write these songs for us. Like, we don't write these songs to fit into, a radio box. I mean, we've had people come to us and say, hey, write a 3-minute long song, or write this or that, and we'll get you on the radio. And it's not that we don't want to, or
we've had radio stations say, we love your song, and we just can't play it on the radio because it's too long. And we're just like,
yeah, and it's not that we're pretentious though either. It's like if a song's 2 minutes, we'll put it out. It's 2 minutes. If it's 3 minutes, or 10 minutes, whatever it is. But kind of going back to the whole thing with that kind of struck me with Todd was who do we write these songs for? And it was like, we write them for us, and that's just when we get together and we hit go. Whatever comes out, it's just like, wow. It's crazy.
It's magic. It feels like magic.
Yeah.
It feels like you feel it in your stomach. Like it's like this burning, butterflies, and you feel this euphoria, and it's like this connection of 5 individuals, almost like being in that present moment, and just like all contributing to this one collective thing. And it's beautiful to us and to me. And it's almost like a form of meditation or
that's great. I love how authentic you are about that. And who knows, that's how Rush made it, right? The 6-minute, the piss track for the DJ, and it became this like phenomenon. So, but no, that's cool. There's nothing better than sticking to what you believe in and the art that fulfills you. So that's amazing. On your one sheet that you sent with your self-titled album, you mentioned that some band members have previously supported national touring acts. So what members are those, and what opening bands were they a part of?
So I used to play in a band with our guitar player Phil before this band. We were called Downright Blue, and we were kind of like a blues rock band. And we opened here in Salt Lake. We we opened here at our amphitheater. We played with ZZ Top, and the Stray Cats and the Pretenders. They were all there, and we got to open the show. Mainly how it happened was we're really good friends with a radio DJ there and here in Salt Lake, and he called us up and he said, hey, so ZZ Top doesn't want to go out on stage until it's dark, and there's still kind of a bit of time, so they want another band to come in and play if you guys want to do it. And we're like, well, of course, yeah, we're down. And so it's like, all right, get down here. We got down there and we got to play that. So we've done that. And then in the past, I was in other bands and I've opened for other, acts. Like, I remember playing here in Salt Lake. We opened for Dee Dee Ramone when he was, around playing, and, stuff like that. I opened for Ted Nugent back in the day and stuff like that. So yeah, I've been around the block a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. And way back in the day, so during the Downright Blue days with Phil and Allan, I was in another rock band, kind of more modern rock band called Monarch here locally. And, we, again, the same radio connection. We hit it off with that guy, and just didn't really have an opportunity to tour per se, but, same scenarios. We had the opportunity to play shows with Shinedown, with Hailstorm, Lacuna Coil, Scott Weiland of Stone Temple Pilots was a doozy, but a great show. That band, and then coincidentally during that whole time, like, we had known each other, 15 years back, just playing, side by sides. Like we opened
for each other.
Yeah. Just
his band used to open for my band would open for his band.
Wow.
Yeah. We kind of had fallen off track, connection wise, until years later, Phil, we had an ad in a local, it was, I don't even remember what it was, but like our similar likes were there, influenced by, this band. And the one band coincidentally that stood out was Rival Sons. So I think it was KSL, like a local classified ad.
Yeah.
And, going back to kind of how we all got together, I guess, and going down that road, but
that's fine. Actually, I was going to ask that. So it's like only like one one question away. So cool. Lay it on me. How you guys met the ad. Yeah. Go on.
Yeah. We put those shows for those national acts side by side, and then, lost track, and Phil and I connected because of this, again, what's your, influences, Rival Sons. And so I get this text randomly out of the blue, and it was, hey, I heard you're a drummer. You like Rival Sons. What do you like about them? Blah, blah, blah. I was like, and I think I had just recently seen them, and we kind of connected that way, and we're just kind of chatting back and forth. And it got down to, finding out that it was somebody in Downright Blue. And I'm like, holy shit. Well, who is this? And he goes, it's Phil. And I'm like, well, fuck, Phil, it's Chris Garrido. And he had been wanting to reach out to me, and it just kind of came full circle to another side band that we had called Sundown River right before the Penitent Man. Yeah. So it was me on drums, Allan on vocals, Phil on guitar, and another dude on bass. As that was kind of coming down to a close, Phil and I were having this side conversation because I really started realizing that he loved the heavier rock, like the stoner doom, rock. And we, were starting to go to a lot of the same shows while we were playing in Sundown River. And I was actually in a band after Monarch, a really heavy band, similar to like ISIS and whatnot, called Huldra, that was here locally. So I had a lot of influence from playing 7 years with those dudes here, and, really on that heavy side. So I was like, dude, why aren't we, Phil and I doing a stoner rock, heavy rock, band? And so he and I had this little side thing going, and then Allan found out about it.
Well, we were sitting in the rehearsal room, and I hear this conversation going on, and he says something about, the Penitent Man. And I'm like, what's that? And he looks at me, he goes, you've never heard of the Penitent Man? And I'm like, no, what is it? And he's like, Phil and I have been writing some secret songs together. And we've got we've got them pretty much done, and they're just total doom stoner rock music. And I'm like, why am I just hearing about this now? I said, no more secret bands. I'm like, no more secret bands. And I'm like, I want in. And she said, you want in? And I'm like, yeah, I'd like to be in. And he's like, I didn't know you wanted to be in. I'm like, well, yeah, I want to be in. And so that's kind of how it came to be. And then they kind of sent me the songs, just a quick demo of the instrumentals. And then I just went home, went to my own home studio and threw them down and put some vocals down. And then I wrote out the lyrics and came to practice. And I'm like, I got lyrics and melodies for these songs if you want to give them a whirl. And we tried them out, and it worked. They were like,
and that was the three of us.
Yeah.
And we had known Steve, the other Steve King, the other guitar player. Phil had known him through work, and Ethan and I, because Ethan, my brother who plays bass, he, like I mentioned, he's originally a guitar player. So growing up, we were like 18 months apart, and we hated each other growing up. So when we started playing music, I went total classic rock, he went total alternative, and we never jammed until we were, later, adults. So Ethan and Steve and I had this little side gig going. And so we were kind of, all these secret bands jamming. And so when we started like the Penitent Man, so again, it was the three of us. We're like, Steve, you play guitar. And then we're like, who do we have on bass? And, finding that key member, because we're all family as well. We're really close. All of our, wives and friends are really close knit. And so it's like, who do we bring in this fifth person, finding the right bass player? And I went to Phil and I said, dude, let's just ask Ethan to play bass. He was like, I don't know. I mean, he's probably a good guitar player, but I don't know if he could play bass. I said, just let me ask him. So I go to Ethan. I'm like, hey, you want to come play bass in the Penitent Man? He goes, fuck no. I'm like, why not? He goes, I'm not a bass player. I said, okay. And I sent him the tracks, and he listened to them. And he's like, okay. So he came down. The first practice had everything locked in that first time the five of us jammed. It was boom. It was like, all right, this is the Penitent Man.
I think after that first jam, I think Ethan was all right. I'm a bass player.
I'm a bass player. Yeah.
He's destined to be a bass player. Yeah. So props to that guy.
But that's what's amazing about the dynamic of our band, is that the rhythm and the heart and soul of our band are brothers, blood related brothers that are just on that rhythm, And so that's what makes it such a beautiful thing when we're writing music, because they communicate to each other because they're brothers, like just with looks and gestures, and they know exactly what they're thinking, each other's thinking. Ethan just basically directs Chris like a symphony when we're playing, and vice versa. They give a look and they know, okay, we're going to go one longer on this, or he'll give them a look. Okay, we're going to do this, And so it's really cool to have that tight knit, heartbeat.
That's neat, especially saying that he was the last member of the band to join. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yep.
That's great. So yeah, you had a great 2020 then, releasing those 2 records, and there's more down the line, and I'm super stoked for it. So is there anything else that you want to add about the Penitent Man for anybody else in podcast land? Because I have some rapid fires up next.
Yeah, I'd like to throw out the pre-order that's going on now for Legends of the Desert Volume 2. You can head over to our Bandcamp site, so thepenitentman.bandcamp.com. You could pre-order that album there. Also, in addition to that, we put out some, pretty cool merch. And, as you had mentioned, you got the little care package. So appreciate the display on that. But we got some great merch that, is there for purchase. We've got, our self-titled record as well. Live at Pale Horse Sound. That's a digital download. So, a lot of great stuff over there. So yeah, if you, can hit that up, that would be appreciated. We're also on Instagram or on Facebook. So, just find the Penitent Man band and should pop up.
Yeah, perfect. And I love how you have different color variations of the record on three platforms, right? Yours has the orange splatter, which I grabbed. It looks dope, and I can't wait to see it spinning on my player. And there's this creepy cool color variation on Desert Records, Bandcamp, and then Cortege has their own as well, which is cool. And speaking on your merch, can you explain or talk about the imagery that keeps popping up with that skull? Is it like something personal, or you just dig how it looks, and then that little triangle with the PM? I think that's kind of, because at first I was like, what is that? Then I saw PM in it. But
the skull is kind of revolved around one of the songs off the debut album called Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
And so we kind of, once again, when we write songs, we like tell these stories to each other, what, like these crazy fantasy stories about what these songs are about. And so we created this buffalo, and so we just wanted to use that buffalo skull as kind of the imagery for the album. We needed some kind of a logo to represent who we were. We didn't want it to say the Penitent Man or whatever. I kind of like the whole, like when remember growing up when I was younger, I'd see like the 9 Inch Nails logo, and I'm like, what does that mean? And so I wanted to kind of just do the same type of thing, just kind of give you a little bit of a lure, like what is that? Just kind of trying to figure it out, just like you did. So.
Yeah, I love it.
I think a cool thing, we don't have one specific logo per se. I think that skull and that, PM triangle is more driven towards, that self-titled album. Yeah. We've got for this upcoming album, kind of going back to that second album we've got in the works. We've got some concepts with that. So we might do a lot of imagery tied around to, some of those characters again, like with, the Butcher, even though it's on this compilation, it'll tie to a couple of songs that'll be on the, the second album. So even imagery, from that. So, I think we're fluid with a lot of our logos, our images. I know we got a lot out there. But
it's all about evolution, right? It's all good. Yeah. whatever, visually represents what's happening at the moment. So that's cool. I dig it. And it's like a very powerful image. And I loved wearing it around, like when you sent it to me. So thanks.
We love it. We love it.
Cool. So if you're ready, I'm ready for some rapid fire questions, because I just like to be silly and connect with people on different levels too.
All right.
So what would be your strategy for a zombie apocalypse?
Head to the mountains.
Mountains. Just like in the open mountains or in a house
I would probably a cabin up in the mountains. Yeah, that's probably where I'd go. And just self-sustain living up there.
I would rely heavily on my younger children to give me direction, because they've watched all that Walking Dead shit and I haven't seen any of it. So, Zach and Cameron, you will be, I'm using your strategy. So I'll just be there. They've got all the weapons planned out and shit. So whatever they recommend, I'll probably follow.
Yeah, I love that. I'd probably go to my parents, because like they have an absurd amount of cabinets filled with food. Like, I don't know, like they definitely hit up the ShopRite can for can or can sale or whatever. So I'd probably go there. Plus my dad used to hunt, so there's definitely some artillery going on. But cool, that's awesome. Dead or alive, what famous or influential person would you want to sit down and have dinner with?
Jeff Buckley. 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would you ask him or talk to him about?
I would just probably want to connect on a level of his writing, because I really look at Jeff Buckley as a poet. He was a guitar player and he was an amazing guitar player, but I always looked at him as a poet, and I would just probably want to get into his brain a little bit and to see where he was coming from. So yeah, Jeff Buckley for sure.
Cool.
Very well. John Bonham.
Ooh.
And I don't know if I would talk drums with him because I was so obsessed with him over the years. Like I know fucking everything about him. So I just would, I think it'd be cool to just have a beer with him. And
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure
talk
we talk
about zombie apocalypses and
yeah,
stuff.
zombie
Like I'm doing right now with you guys. I just love that different kind of how you can have a conversation about something random with someone that is so inspiring, but
Yeah.
But Bonham for me is I heard Zeppelin when I was younger and just blew my mind and went down that rabbit hole. So again, he's the most influential man musically for me. So yeah,
that's cool. I'm a pretty big Zeppelin fan. What's if you could give me just a couple top tracks that we could nerd over that you dig the most? Like, what's your go-to like 3 Led Zeppelin songs?
Mine would be the first song that blew me away the second I heard it was Go.
Achilles' Last Stand.
No, close. That's top 3. So number 1 would be Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I heard that song and I remember that that was the moment I'm like, oh my God, what the fuck did I just find? So Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You, Achilles' Last Stand, you're right. And then Since I've Been Loving You, because that was the first song as a kid learning to play the drums. I never took lessons. Again, I heard Zeppelin. I was like, I got to do what that dude does. So Since I've Been Loving You was the first song by Zeppelin I could play from start to finish without any major screw ups. So
sick. Cool.
So those 3.
What was the first concert you ever attended?
We just talked about this. We had a text conversation about this the other day.
You guys did. I was busy working.
Yeah. Mine was Kenny Rogers.
Okay.
When I was young, my parents took me to that, and that was my first one. It was great.
Mine was 1994. I was 14 years old, and my parents dropped me off at the Rice-Eccles Stadium, so University of Utah football stadium, by myself with a giant brick cell phone. And I had this big Philadelphia Eagles jacket on at the time because I was
Philly fan right here.
I loved the Philadelphia Eagles, so it had, it was green and had the eagle on the back, old school style. And I went and saw the Rolling Stones.
Oh wow, cool.
The Voodoo Lounge tour. A good friend of mine growing up, his dad was a big Stones fan, and as I started learning music, he's like, "Do you want to go see the Stones?" I'm like, "Yes, I do." And I had no idea who they were. Went and saw that show as a kid, and so yeah, it was a good first.
Very cool. I love that.
Yeah.
So I think that should do it. That's all I got for you in the arsenal of questions. So thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for joining me on your Saturday. I know you both work and have families and, in addition to making music. So I appreciate it so much.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, of course. Is there anything else that you'd want to add or?
I think.
Yeah.
No, outside of, go out, support us. Go support Brandi Is Going to Hell.
Yes.
Thank you.
She is awesome. So go find her on all the streaming platforms. So
Thanks.
Go support her.
You're making me blush. Thank you.
Awesome show. And we're honored to be a part of it. So thank you very much.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to Brandi Is Going to Hell. You hitting play and sharing an episode is helping me put awesome artists and musicians on a pedestal. As I have went on about before, this podcast is a passion project of mine that I crawl into my lair on weeknights after work and on the weekends, prepping, recording, and producing on my own, except shout out to Ryan Hanratty of Frosted Green Productions for helping me out with the video portion of the show. Please check out some past episodes of Brandi is Going to Hell and follow me everywhere online at Brandi Lukas. That's Brandi with an I, Lukas with a K, except on TikTok. That's at Brandi is Going to Hell for updates on new episodes and everything else musical going on in my world. Up next on April 28th, I'll have Simon McBride, a singer-songwriter, producer, and guitarist from Belfast. And he's the guitarist for Ian Gillan and Don Airey, so keep your ears peeled for that. Until then, compliment someone today. They're free, and they make you and others feel good. Bye-bye. Thank you, yes you, for listening to Brandi is Going to Hell. I have a lot more thank yous in order for making the show come alive. I want to thank Celeste Giuliano for her amazing pinup photography. I dreamed of having my photographs taken by her in order to make my podcasting dreams come to life. So thank you, Celeste, and your team for making me look like a hot mama. Thanks to Crystal Rugel for her design direction for my new logo. Spent many nights texting her late. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And she was such a great resource. Shout out and many thanks to Ryan Hanratty at Frosted Green Productions for all video production. My man, definitely don't want to be fucking with video, and you've saved my life. My amazing husband, Mike Airey, for always believing in me and bridging the gap between me and amazing artists. I love you and you're my rock. St. Neots hardcore band Impact for the music throughout the show. You can check out their EP Strength Through Loyalty on every streaming service. My friend Gooch, aka Ryan Nelson, for always asking me, when's a new show coming out? My friend Matt Young, who got my foot into the door as an intern at IndieGoot, which led me to my first career in music at Q Prime. So a major shout out goes to Doug Oswandel as well for giving me a chance and hiring me there. My dad, John Lukas, for raising me with an impeccable taste in music. And my mom, Beth Ann Lukas, for helping me be a functional adult with good credit. Last but not least, Brandi is Going to Hell is dedicated to my badass grandmom, Elizabeth Betty Fowler.